Dependency disorders, whether it's a substance addiction or a behavioral addiction, have certain criteria, symptom criteria, which when present, then you can say, yeah, there's a dependency disorder here, there's an addiction here. So there are several conditions. The first is the basic ones. The first of the basic ones is increasing tolerance for the substance or the behavior, meaning one needs to use more and more of the substance in order to get that original effect the first time one used it, or to do more and more of the behavior in order to get that very first pleasurable effect the first time a person did it. So what that means practically is, now when someone, let's say, goes out and drinks for the first time and gets inebriated, then after a while, if he keeps on drinking, the body develops tolerance to that, so that to feel that kind of buzz, let's say 3 years later, the person, instead of just having one beer, like the first time, to get the same level of buzz, the person needs 6 beers. Okay, so that's one part, tolerance. It could be the same with masturbation or any kind of sexual behavior, or other types of behaviors that produce this type of addictive response. Could be shopping, could be chocolate, could be work, etc. The second aspect is withdrawal, where a person's mood and thoughts are altered. In plain language, they become distraught, distressed, miserable, at the very least irritable, when the substance or the behavior is withdrawn from their lives. So when they don't drink, or they don't perform the behavior, sexual or otherwise, they exhibit what are called withdrawal symptoms: crankiness, moodiness, cravings for the behavior to do it again, cravings for the substance to consume it again. So to have, a person thirsts for alcohol, for example. A person hungers for that sexual behavior. And these things can become all-consuming in a person's mind. There's an obsession about it. Then a third condition is this behavior, in addition to these two basic conditions, disrupts any one of several aspects of a person's life. It causes dysfunction in their social life, occupational life, family life, and spiritual life as well. So when talking about religious or priests, any type of addictive behavior, whether it's alcohol or an alcohol addiction or a sexual addiction, or even let's say an addiction to the use of a device, when it interferes, it has those symptoms of tolerance and withdrawal. So a person using a device who maybe in the beginning was satisfied with using it for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, after a while has to be constantly looking at the device for about 6 or 7 hours. And it becomes becomes worse when pornography is involved, because the length of time spent using the device, to the exclusion of other things, is much longer. Okay. That coupled with when not using the substance, not drinking alcohol, for example, or not masturbating or fantasizing or use internet pornography, or if it's something else, shopping or whatever it is, eating, the person is very irritable, has some kind of distress or sadness that's inconsolable, or in other words, shows symptoms of depression or extreme worry, anxiety, etc. Plus has cravings to do the thing again, to drink again, to masturbate again, to whatever, eat again, let's say even outside normal mealtime. And the craving is so strong that it's difficult to resist, or a person experiences obsessions enough with the craving, enough to disrupt their normal functioning. And at the extreme end, the craving causes the person to become all-consumed with seeking out that activity or substance that produces the pleasure response. that becomes a big problem because it interferes with life. And for, again, a religious or a priest, it poses a problem for the person's spiritual life. In the spiritual life is one of the things that marks it is self-giving. And between the person and God, he or she is supposed to give everything, good and bad, to God. And holding on to an addictive behavior is saying, well, this is for me. And the focus is on oneself. And we're human beings, we can't be focused on many things at the same time. With exceptions, maybe at the most 2 things. But our attention, it's designed to be fixed on really only one thing at a time, our concentrated attention. So if I'm focused on what's for me, and the all-consuming pattern of an addiction, it's going to be very difficult for that person to follow God in his example of self-giving. The cross becomes very difficult. And it's hard for someone to progress in the spiritual life.